All right, you are all highly welcome to today's Safeoclock Health and Safety Interactive Workshop. It's a pleasure to have us again. And like our culture has always been, we'll start with a presentation. And after the presentation, we'll be able to ask questions and share our own experience as well. So in today's presentation, we are discussing safety in facilities management industry. Like we agreed in our last session that we'll be talking about safety in different industries, and those presentations will be led by people who have practical experience in those industries. So on today's presentation, we have Mr. Stephen, who is an expert in facility management safety, and he will be leading the presentation, and those that has other experience also will contribute in the process. So I will give the room for Mr. Stephen to be able to go ahead. So Stephen, you have the floor.
Okay. I believe we can all see my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes. I decided to have a little bit of a twist, regarding this the topic subject. We are still the same thing, but when as a professional, when you go deep, sometimes we often focus more on the safety aspect, and why we disregard the aspect of the health, So while in some industry, you discover that the more of the risk you find there, or maybe the proportional, or maybe they are like 50-50, or maybe the health aspect or the health risk is even more than the safety. So if we just talk about the safety and we ignore the aspect of the health, we might be throwing some vital information into the basket. So without wasting much of our time, I decided to make it a form of occupational health and safety in facility management. Here we'll be talking about the hazard, risks, things that are associated. Like with what I have here, we all know that occupational health and safety in facility management is a crucial and a vital aspect, that ensure that every environment is safe for employee, visitor, and even the occupant of the building. So, because when you look at facility, we are coming from a different dimension or different angle, because in some facility, you can find it as a commercial hall. Like when you talk about the shopping mall, you're dealing with a lot of people, you are dealing with a lot of public. If you are talking of residential area, you are talking about where people just reside alone. Some places are mixed, either residential and either commercial, some for offices and all that. So, but basically, and not just only these aspects, even when you go to an oil and gas industry, okay, even in the production plants, that when you get to a production plant, that is a facility on its own. So it's a very, just like Mr. David has said, it's a very wide, is a wide industry on its own, and if we really want to go deep, even 2 hours might not even be sufficient for us. Okay, so but I just take my time to align those things towards those place we have at least the knowledge, and probably will I say the residual knowledge, if not the actual knowledge. So as we all know that facility management encompasses a wide range of tasks, from building maintenance, cleaning to security and environmental management. Each of these tasks carries inherent health and safety risk, making occupational health and safety a paramount concern for those facility management professionals, okay, and for those who manage facilities. So going forward, I think I would just like to focus more on what are the hazards, what are those likely hazards we could find in the facility setting. But to surprise every one of us, we might have hyped the facility management, like this, things, as a special industry as well. But the truth is that whatever we're going to be seeing in facility industry when it comes to hazard and risk are not something that is strange to every one of us that are here today, especially for us who are professionals. Except for those who are really new in this our platform, who does not have any knowledge about safety. For anybody who have done the Bosch IGC, as we all know, this is a syllabus that covers virtually all industry, at least 80% of all industries, even if there is no specific to maybe like, we know they have oil and gas, the Bosch oil and gas and all that, but we know it touched around everywhere. So basically, as we go further, we'll just see, and most of these things are things that we all are familiar with, like just have said. We have some common hazards, that are associated with facility operation or activity. In terms of the common physical hazard, we have the slip, trip, and fall hazard. We know these are not too common, like it's not like a key hazard in the construction, okay? In the construction, in the sense that once you have a good housekeeping on site, you might likely to escape this kind of hazard. But in the facility, this is a very sensitive and number one hazard you could find, like physical hazard you could find in the workplace, because it's even just in the setting of your home, in your small closet office, these are hazards that are common. You can find them so common because most of the activity we do predispose us to this form of physical hazard. So, and what are those things that can create, or what are these hazard precisely, or what are those factors that can create this hazard within our office space, within our facilities and all that? Because, when I'm talking about facility, like I've said from the definition, even your house you are staying is a facility, okay? Your office is a facility. So, but like a facility now is like a place that is already constructed per se and is already occupied by people, unlike construction, the process is going on. So it's a bit quite different, but hazards are almost like the same thing. So when you look at wet floor whereby there will be spill, leaks, weather condition also can create slippery surface, as we all know. So, and this might increase the risk of fall within any facility. They sound simple, but it's a very risky, or will I say, risk involved within facility. Because when people talk about fall from height, I've seen some author definition that they will tell you fall from height is even, or walking at height, even when you are walking on the surface, you are just standing on the floor, you can have a fall. So the risk is still there, because when you fall, you can even have a fatality in such situation. We've had incidents of even some of our brothers in Qatar here, who by chance, they just had a slip in the bathroom. I've had a case of somebody I know like that in Nigeria, a man who just went to the washroom, he had a slip and he fell down. He hit his skull on the floor. on the ties, and that is it. The man died. So it is simple, and people feel it's nothing, but it's very high risk, of taking someone's life when you just have just a sleep. So it is very important, irrespective of the industry. Even in construction, you can have things like this when you have oil spill. So it's not only peculiar with facility management, like I said, it's in all industry. Also, on even flooring or floor surface, this we also see it in construction. We'll see it in other places. So it is very important that at least we have an even floor surface or flooring within any facility, because a loose floorboards, there are also floorboards, or damaged carpets, uneven transition can cause trip and fall. Even this afternoon, I was just shouting at my son because the carpet we have at the middle, he tried to fold it like this. I said, guy, this thing you will trip if you are not careful. So these are the issues. Okay, these are the issues, and these are things that we know, but we might not understand that these are things we can actually see within the facility where we work. But actually, these things, they pose a great high risk, of injuries or fatality within the industry and other industry. So it doesn't really mean that somebody has to climb the scaffold using the ladder to walk before he can have such. So it's on its own. Then poor lighting system. When you are working in a facility and the lighting system is very poor, it means it's going to affect probably your vision, especially for those who probably uses glasses. If peradventure at some point they are not with their glasses and all that, and they just try to rush out to maybe get one or two things. So, and probably within the floors and all that, there's poor lighting system. This can cause some kind of obscure hazard that can make it difficult for the person to be able to visualize any obstacle, any obstructions like that on the way. So eventually such person can have a trip and fall. And that could be also dangerous to such individual. So, and also other obstruction, other things within the walkways. Sometimes we see some people's office, you see trailing cables, you see a lot of things, littered around. This kind of condition are obstruction that can lead to, people tripping and falling. So these are very high risk, or common hazard you could find in the facility management. And also fall from height also is also predominant, because most of the activity you see, these guys, they walk, they use ladder. In some cases, they use scaffold, depend on the height of the activities that they are doing the maintenance work, because most of the time it's maintenance, repair. So when you are exposed, especially when you are using scaffold, you are not following the right procedure by having edge protection, toe board, your harness, and all the basic PPE they are supposed to use, and these particular technicians are not having it, definitely fall from height to occur. And also it goes beyond just fall from height, even falling objects. So you could see that everything I'm saying are things that we are familiar with, are things that we'll still find even in the construction, in any industry. Okay, so you discover that falling object as well, because most of the technicians, they use tools. In facility, you can't work without tools. So they have a lot of tools they work with, and when they are working at height and people are just walking around where the scaffold or the ladder is that they are using. So the tendency that when these technical people are working, maybe spanner, screwdriver, plier, this might just drop. And if the person who is working is not having his helmet or his full PPE, definitely the person might have a hit of this falling object. So, and that might result to injury. Going forward, we also have ergonomic hazard, okay, which can result to a lot of musculoskeletal disorder. I think in one of our sessions, we've discussed, I think we've done something about, I think manual handling and stuff like that. So where we give some brief discussion on this ergonomics and all that. So it is very important because in facility, it's a very high risk because the kind of activity that is being done, you know, it involves repetitive motions. You know, sometimes it involves lifting of heavy objects, you know, and also some kind of awkward position because, oh, you want to access a particular equipment, you want to, you know, things like that. So you will see they are common because you don't just have a direct access because you want to put your hand inside, you want to stretch, you want to do things. So these are things that are common within the facility industry. And as a professional, we all know that when it comes to ergonomic hazard, anything that will affect any workers or individual that will lead to musculoskeletal disorder, we all know that we have to conduct risk assessment, we have to design a procedure that they should follow in order for them to work safely, because if they overstretch themselves for long hours doing this kind of activity, this by bending, flexing, stretching, you know, this could lead to a lot of back pain, neck strain, and a lot of that. Because even for me, at some point, I wanted to use my laptop, so I wanted to lie on the sofa and use my laptop for this presentation. You understand? Because for some days I've been sitting down. A lot of work, as I'm having a lot of work, my research work and all that. So it's giving me, I know what I'm feeling. So we are all human beings, so we feel it definitely. So, and for me, I know the implication. So, excuse me 1 minute. Sorry, sorry for the. So, what I'm trying to say is, all this activity, as you could see on this slide, will predispose individuals, technicians to musculoskeletal disorder. And we know these are of great concern, and they fall under health issues. Okay, they fall under health issues, not even safety issues. So that was why I was trying to say we don't want to focus on the safety as that alone, because there are more. You know, there are more than safety related issues in the facility and other industry. So when we look at this other slide, another thing that is more common is electrical hazard, okay, which could lead to shock and can also result to fire. You know, and as we all know, with our basic knowledge and our experience, we know that we know what could lead to electrical shock, what could lead to fire, because in some cases, there might be damaged wire system, you know, frayed or exposed wire. This could pose a risk of electrical shock and fire within such facility. And we know how risky or how implicating it is for such kind of thing to happen. You know, when you say you are building an edifice structure in the construction stage and fire happens, we know that the costs of that implication will not be like the one that will happen after the building has been completed, fully furnished, commissioned, everything, and eventually the building is set on fire. So we could see how implicating and how dangerous it is. Because when we talk about facility, we expect that the structure is completed for occupancy. So it will be really, really expensive for that loss. So it is very important that when it comes to fire, electrical issues, we don't play with such things within the facility industry. and overload of circuits, all of these fall within the electrical system. Because sometimes you go to some people, their office, maybe construction site, you go to the cabin, you see people plug a lot of devices on an extension or a socket that does not have enough power. You overload the circuit. At the end of the day, this circuit can lead to overheating, and that is one thing that is needed when there's sufficient oxygen and there's fuel. What you need is heat. There will be fire. So electricity, fire is a very high risk issues, which any facility management professional or safety within such industry should be paying more attention to. Very, very much attention. Just like when you go to the oil and gas, there are things you don't joke with. Issue of fire, anything that will result to fire, because when it happens, it means the entire plant will explode. So, so it's a very high risk concern within the facility industry. So improper grounding, as we all know that the fault grounding, which is supposed to absorb when there's a kind of shock and all that, or short circuit and stuff like that. But if such electrical device or things does not have a good grounding, then definitely this might result to shock with any individual that comes in contact with an exposed or damaged wire. So, and also water and electricity are also dangerous combination, as we all know. They are not good friends. So in facility, we know there must be existing water. There should be electricity running. So any activity we do, any maintenance work we do, we need to consider the floor, we need to consider the environment to ensure that, okay, water and electricity has no business with each other within such environment or particular spot that such activity is happening. So basically, when you look at facility, sometimes when you just say facility, people just feel, oh, cleaning, cleaning stuff. Yeah, because it's facility, we have the soft services, we have the hard services. So when we talk about the soft services, it's just for those cleaning, little stuff and stuff like that. But when you talk about hard service, we are talking about even the deep cleaning now fall into hard services. You talk about some MEP works, those fall under the hard services, that takes place in facility management. So basically, for the chemical hazard, the cleaning aspect, which is soft services, will be seeing some kind of exposure of hazard as a result of the fact that those people who do the housekeeping, the cleaning activity, they do that with the use of a lot of chemical products, okay? And by so doing, they are being exposed, to a lot of chemical substances, that can either affect their lungs or, create a kind of immediate health issue, because anything that will affect the lungs might take time, maybe a long-term issue, but there are some that might just be an immediate, so, and how do they get in contact with all this? You discover that some might just be a kind of incidental swallow of a cleaning product, which can lead to serious health issue. Some might as a result of inhalation. So that is why even in my facility, I keep telling them there was a day a guy was cleaning the handrail of the escalator. So the escalator belt, I don't know, it has an issue, mechanical issue. So it pierced through the rubber that people normally put their hand. So when it was clean, because when they are cleaning it, they just do it like this. He wasn't using his hand gloves and all that. Then they had a cut. They were calling safety, safety, safety. Okay, so we try to handle the situation, but at the end of the day, I give them an orientation. I spoke to them. I said, see, apart from this physical thing you are seeing, you go, you wash the toilet, you wash some other surfaces that are probably might be contaminated with some pathogens. So if you are not using all these things, you might be predisposed to high risk of either infection or chemical exposure. So, in such case, it is very important that necessary PPE, you understand, are available for the workers who work within the soft services aspect within the facility. Because if you have your nose mask, you would have prevent inhalation of this chemical product, because these are things that they must use. There is no substitute, there's no alternative. So, and for you to know that these are the risk or hazard that is present, these individuals who work need to protect themselves by having a nose mask, having their hand gloves, having all the necessary tools that or PPE that are needed for them to work safely, and also skin contact, depending on the area they are working, because in some aspect, in some industrial facility, you might be exposed to some harmful chemicals, because when you are also doing facility maintenance within the oil and gas industry, within some petrochemical industry, you are also exposed to chemical. So definitely this aspect is very, very important. It's not about only cleaning products. There are other chemical substances. You can also be working in a facility where they carry out a fit out work activity. They are cutting gypsum board and all that. We know, and sometimes they might be doing some kind of maintenance work, and probably maybe that building was constructed with the use of asbestos containing material and all that. So you can imagine this individual might be exposed, or they will be exposed to these chemical substances, which will create health problem. Now it's not going to create a safety problem, it's going to create an health problem. So you see that we have a lot of health issues happening within the facility, even more than the safety issue. Okay, and also some of these things, when they come in contact with the skin, they cause skin irritation, burns, allergy reaction. And these are issues that when it happens, it can keep some employees out of work for days. Okay, so it will not be good for any organization. Also, eye contact, we know that the eye is a very sensitive organ within the body. So even just for a cleaning product, these things are there are chemicals that I think the only thing the eyes can accept is water. Anything that goes into the eyes that is not water, we know how irritating it could be. And if the chemicals are very strong, they could have a burning effect, or, and can also lead to a permanent vision loss. So it's very important that within the facility industry, those professionals who are there need to focus more on all these key little issues that people take for granted. Then we also have biological hazard, when people have been exposed to infectious agents. Like I mentioned earlier, you're in the facility, you clean the floors are full of germs, those are pathogens, you clean the washrooms, a lot of things. They are exposed to so many things, especially those who they go to the washroom and clean. Take for example, you have a mall, an hospital, a public place, and especially an hospital, so even the hospital is even more high risk, because it's a place where they incubate, they incubate a lot of pathogens, so it is very important that the safety professionals who are in that field need to understand all these things. Because if you imagine I work with a company who have a contract with Ahmad Medical Hospital, you understand how I need to broaden my knowledge, how I need to get a lot of things done, because the risk is very, very high, because, even people who work in the hospital, there's what we call nosocomial, just like an hospital-acquired infection. So a lot of, even for the father, will feel that an hospital is a safe haven. is also an area where we could also get a lot of stuff out of there that can really harm individuals. So all these things are very important because there we can find a blood-borne pathogen. Okay, this has to do with the blood. We can have airborne pathogen. These are pathogens or germs that are available within the air, the atmosphere within such facility, especially when it's a public kind of facility. We have the waterborne pathogen. These are pathogens we find in the water. Also, fecal oral routes. We have hepatitis B, HIV. We have the tuberculosis, measles, Legionella. We have the E. coli. We have the norovirus, salmonella, even the coronavirus. You could see what happened during the pandemic period. So all these things, to handle them back, to be able to control them, manage them biologically, the same procedure which we apply, which every individual applied during the time of COVID-19, are the same procedure we can apply within the facility industry to ensure that we are able to curb such kind of biological hazard. Biological hazard, chemical hazard, ergonomic hazard are massive in the facility industry, more than the physical. If you see the way I'm coming with this presentation, you now understand that the first one is just has to do with safety, which is the physical. The others are all classified as health-related issues, because when chemical comes in, it gives you health issue. Once ergonomic comes in, it gives you health issues. Once biological comes in, it gives you health issues. So, like I said from the introduction, it's just beyond safety. That was why I tried to have a kind of a little bit twist of the topic. So, going forward, we also have an environmental hazard. Okay, so we all know that within the environment, we could be affected by temperature, maybe an extreme temperature and also poor air quality. I think we've discussed something about, there was a topic we discussed where we talk about air quality. So it is very, very important that because sometimes most of this activity, people they do it outside, outdoor. Like the previous company I was a service industry. So we do maintenance of, there's what we call the building maintenance system. This, what they use in cleaning this facade system of high-rise building. There's this BME, it looks like a crane, you understand? So my company, they do the service of those stuff, and the chiller system as well. So you discover that especially when the temperature is high, especially in the Middle East, they also follow the Qatar law that once it's 10 a.m., after 10 a.m., no activity, outdoor activity. So such kind of thing, you will not say, oh, because I only work in construction, it only applies to construction. No. And they have to work at the top or the rooftop of such building. So imagine such kind of person working in an exposed extreme temperature. He might have a kind of exposure that will make him exhausted, and his stroke, his stress, all those things can set in. And with the location and position where the person is, he might also eventually fall. So, and also, most of the times, because of where we are, we talk more of eat stress, eat this, eat that. In some other part of the world, that they have longer winter season, they end up having effects of hypothermia and frostbite, as a result of extreme cold, within such regions. So any safety will find themselves in such facilities, such industry, that this environmental factor is having a play, then we should know the right thing to do. We should know the right advice to give. And also going forward, poor ventilation. Inadequate ventilation can also trap pollutants from the atmosphere and also create a poor air quality within such facilities. So that is why you see they have this and the kind of air conditioning system they have in a kind of facility. A big facility is, they have the chiller, they have all those things. You see that the air goes in, the water purify, a lot of things, they treat the water and all that. So all those things, the reason why they do those kind of air conditioning system is because they want the air that is coming from outside into the building to be well purified. And whatever that is being generated, when you go into such kind of facility or in an office, you see where the cool air is coming, and you also see the return. It must always be there because they need to take the return air back into the system to be purified and get them back into the facility or into the office or into the space. So it is very important for us to understand this process and have the basic knowledge, and also when the environment is damp, this might create what we call mold and mildew, which could result to growth. That's why you see when you put some food item that is not in the refrigerator, you see that they begin to grow molds, and this can trigger a lot of allergies and respiratory problem if any individual end up ingesting those food or eat those food. And apart from that, those mold and all that could just grow. They could grow on even the walls of the building. So this might end up affecting the integrity of the building over time. So within the facility, we tend to look at all those things, whereby the civil guys there, they tend to correct and make corrections on all the stuff. So we also have a preventive measure and a best practice, which as a safety practitioner, we must always encourage our people to abide by. One of the things is we need to keep pushing for hazard and risk identification, carry out our risk assessment, site inspection, the way it is done in the construction. Okay, but in the facility, we might have a different kind of a checklist, because there we are dealing with system. We are dealing with mechanical, electrical, plumbing system. You understand? We are dealing with HVAC system. So these are things that are already in place, working and running. So safety is safety everywhere. We know what to do. We know the right thing to do. Even if you have not worked in a facility before, your first time you have the opportunity to do that, there is nothing that will be difficult. It's just about you understanding the system, understanding what they do. You get used to the checklist and all that, and that is how. So I think that will be for hazard and risk identification. We also have employee training, which is very, very important. In all industry, irrespective of whatever the industry is all about, we cannot rule out employee training, and this training need to be tailored to what activity that we are doing. So, sorry, just a minute. Yeah, sorry for that, please. So, and also the PPE is very important and mandatory. All industry, you don't joke with PPE, because when we lose focus from PPE, we'll get it all wrong, because irrespective of the industry, PPE are required in all activity in order for the workers to be safe. And also, the last point there is emergency preparedness. It is very important that we develop and practice emergency response plan for various scenarios. Especially in the facility industry, we don't just do basically on fire. We do for chemical spill as well. There could be chemical spill, and in the facility industry, when the chemical spill, it's a massive one, not just the one we find in construction, just one oil, things like that. So it's always a huge one. Just like when you go to the petrochemical industry, such facility, or you go to the oil and gas. So those things are always serious incidents, when it happens. So the kind of emergency preparedness need to cut across different scenarios within such industry like facility management. Sometimes even this water you see, there might be a leakage. There might just be that maybe what's it called, a pipe, a very big pipe that channel water to the facility can get broken, and it can cause flood within such kind of place. So a lot of plans need to be put in place, because we could see even in Qatar during the I think last year that it rained, a lot of malls were affected. Even where I was working was affected as well. At some point, I could remember I was even running to come and meet up one of our webinar. I was also stuck on the road because everywhere was just flooded. So, and with that, even the authority in Qatar, they started making it mandatory for all facilities, like especially the shopping malls, those big facilities that have especially basement and all that, because of the drainage system. We now began to develop this a kind of emergency preparedness for raining, rainy season. Once it's rainy season, those people from Ashgard, they do come to the management facility there to, okay, what are your plans? What did you have? What things you have in place, and all that. So I think I prepared for them one before I left. So I think that is that. Then another point here I have is like continuous improvement and health and safety monitoring is very, very important. Regular audits need to be conducted to assess compliance and identify area of improvement. And data analysis, we need to keep record of incident data to identify trends, to also identify the root cause, and also area for targeted intervention or area for improvement. So, and also feedback and evaluation is very important, because as an health and safety practitioner, if we don't do this feedback and evaluation, we might not be able to gather our employees, the workers and other stakeholders. We might not be able to gather information that can make us improve safety. We can't work in isolation, like I keep telling people. So we need to be friend to everybody, as long as we speak to them and they listen. So we can always have a safe and healthy environment for all. I will say thank you. The time has been well spent anyway. So I know we'll have little time for other people to make one or two contribution or experience and things like that. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Johnson. Oh.
It seems like Mr. Johnson stepped out from his seat.
Okay, yeah, maybe there's an emergency. Okay.
Okay, he's back.
Okay, so let's have one or two experience from professionals that are here.
Okay, so that was a very brilliant presentation. We really appreciate your time for putting all this together. And actually, the facility industry is such that it looks so common. It looks like what is going on there is something that anybody can do, but it really requires time to look into the job. It really requires time to know your onion in that industry. So that's why we appreciate you for letting us know what is going on there and how we can make it better in that industry. All right, so we'll leave the floor open for others to contribute and share their experience.
Mr. Andrew.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, sirs.
Yes.
Good evening, Amajade. Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to put a little contribution to what has been said so far. Mr. Francis, we indeed appreciate you for your detailed explanation. It's like you are a teacher. because you really went through everything. I really appreciate that, sir. God
Thank
bless
you.
you for that.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, I like Mr. The other guy has already said. Most of the time, people will want to look at the facility management to be very common, and that is where the problem will now arise. You look at it and say you are not doing a serious job as pertains to, you're not cutting a pipe in the oil and gas industry. You're not doing heavy equipment lifting. But if you want to look at it from that aspect, that is a menial job, then there will happen to be a problem. Right now, I'm working for a facility management company that deals with in-flights. In-flights, we cater for in-flights, we cater for food and refreshment for in-flights, international flights, cater for BA, British Airways, Emirates, and the likes. So here we don't play with biological contaminants, because actually we maintain a facility that, you see, before you enter into our production areas, you have to wear hair nets. You have to make sure, if you're not wearing a safety boot, you have to wear a shoe with a cover, and you have to make sure you wear a top coat. As serious as security inside these production areas, they always make sure they conform to these PPEs, because we don't risk, we don't allow for contamination. If you haven't wearing a ring, it has to be the simple ring. You don't take nails into our production areas. And we have hand wash stations every part of the facility. So what am I trying to say? Asepsis, which is a process of maintaining the food in a sterile state, is what we maintain here. So when we talk about facility management, it's not just about uh, 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 you see, electricity and the likes. So in this kind of place, you will find out that we even maintain chillers that they are supposed to read, their temperature are supposed to read a particular value or a certain range that's not wide. Understand? Because every food it should be stored at a certain range of temperature, or if not a certain range, but a specific temperature in which it will not allow the growth of microbes. And here we maintain HACCP standard. FSMS 22,000 is maintained in this industry, because our clients, actually, they are foreign clients. They would not want a situation in which their customers, they are eating food, they now see a contaminant. Just think about a thing as small as a fish bone present in their meals. There is a problem. They will come for you, because they put money, they put much investment in making sure that their customers get what they need. You understand? So when we're talking about facility management, it's not like what people would think. It's not common. It's something that industries that are into it, they hold it in high esteem. They don't they don't play with it. So I really appreciate this topic. It's coming at the right time, and I want to say it's a topic that is well orchestrated. Thank you very much, Saz. I appreciate you for all your efforts. God bless you. Have a nice day, Saz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Majori, for that wonderful contribution. Actually, that is our aim here, to enlighten ourselves on what is happening in different industries as far as health and safety is concerned. Okay, I think with time, we'll be able to...
Yeah, let me just add...
Go ahead.
So let me just add one or two things based on, that is why sometimes it's good for us to share our experience and idea. I still want to reemphasize, like we keep saying, the facility industry is a very broad one, okay? You can have 30 years of experience and you have not touched more than one. Now, he said something, imagine when you go to the aviation sector, I'm giving an example, within just the aviation sectors, now you're just talking about the catering service area. Because when you go to Qatar Airways today, we have the I think the catering I think the catering section or something like that cater for the food which they prepare for the people who board the flight. So these are things, these are areas that I believe their company focus on. So whether being a contractor for that, or you're working directly in the airport, even when I was working in my previous company, we have a contract with Ahmad International Airport. Their facade system, we are the one that was doing the monorails that are there, the building maintenance system that was there. I used to go there at least once a week to supervise our guys. So risk is just so wide in facility, just so wide. So we might not be able to cover everything, but we should just have it in mind that there are more things which even could be limited to even my own understanding. So it's a very wide industry, as the way an oil and gas industry might be.
Okay. Thank you for that additional contribution. Someone else wants to say something?
Okay, let me just say one or two things. Good evening, Mr. Stephen. Thank you so much for the articulated presentation.
Yes, my boss. You're welcome.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, there is this fear that a job is limited for the health and safety officer, and this is a major concern to many of us who are health and safety professionals. But from this, it's an eye-opener that we can venture into different area of health and safety. So it's really a good thing to know that facility management is very broad. So even if you are not working in a particular section, you can work in the aviation, you can work in buildings, you can work. So it's all about sustainability. So I really feel so much proud of Qatar, because one thing is, when you build structures and just abandon them without managing them, the structures get dying. So you can imagine that it's an industry that will never go into extinction. Talking about health and safety, talking about facility management in every sector. So it is an eye-opener, this presentation, and encourage every young professional that is coming up that it's not just good to put our eggs in one basket. This is a challenge to me now. We want to learn more. Probably I will also, after this presentation, I can always call on my senior colleague, Mr. Steven, Mr. Johnson, and David, and so forth, in all areas. In case when there is no job in my sector, I can move to another sector, right? So it's always good to know that we are not limited in this profession. So thank you so much. Thank you. I really learned a lot.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. It's a good thing that we are starting. There are some industries that I still admire, that I want to work in. I've been able to test a lot of industries, especially here in Qatar, where I have the opportunity to work in metro. I've worked in construction. I've worked in telecom. I've also worked in, I'm working in transportation now. So this place gave us the opportunity to explore a lot of industries, and we're able to combine those knowledge to give out the best wherever we are. So in this platform, during our workshops, we'll be exploring some of these industries one after the other. We'll be focusing on the key differences, as in key strategies that make them unique, that make the operation unique when compared to other industries. So I employ all of us to attend. From this week onwards, we'll be exploring different industries from each week. We'll be looking at all the industries one after the other, so that we'll be able to find out what are the major similarities, what are the major differences, so that if you see any job in that industry, you won't be so afraid. Like for me, I used to be so scared of oil and gas. I used to be so, I always think that it has to do with swimming. You need to be expert in swimming and others. And for me, I used to fear water a lot. So this platform, I've been able to learn a lot of things. Yeah, I've been able to learn a lot of things that could cool your nerve and let you know that with some of the experience you have, you can transfer those experience and those knowledge into the next industry. So thank you, Mr. Stephen, for opening our eyes also on this one. If someone else wants to say something.
Hello.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's Omojade.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, I just, there's a point that Mr. Stephen put in his discussion. You know, it's a very broad discussion. He talked about nosocomial infections. Now, nosocomial infections results from bugs. We call them bugs in the field of microbiology. We call them bugs. Why we call them bugs? For the fact that these are what we call incurable infections. And they arise because of the fact that, you know, most people that visit hospital, they might have tried a certain treatment, antibiotics treatment, and before you know it, they visit the hospital, they are trying to find a better treatment to give to this person. So these people that have these nosocomial infections, their infections are most of the time very difficult to treat because their infections are majorly due to resistance of the drugs they've been using to treat themselves. That's why they went to the hospital. So what happens is that their germs, the germs in their body system must have undergone what we call selective resistance or adaptation. And before you know, when you tend to treat these people with certain drugs, the infection appears to be incurable. So you then discover that these people, they now need a higher form of treatment, a higher form of antibiotics for those germs to leave them. So nosocomial infections are majorly due to plasmids. They call them plasmids. Plasmids or agents or microbial agents have acquired plasmids that makes drugs not work. So this is a very broad area, you know, and this is most of the time it's what medical, the battle medical practitioners are faced in the medical field or in industry. So you find out that when you raised that point, I just said when I was going to talk the last time I spoke, I was going to bring it in, but I didn't remember, so I'm just remembering now. So that's why I'm coming on with this. Thank you very much, sir, for the time.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that impact. All right. we'll just spend a lot of time and everybody's relaxed. Nobody's nobody's eager to leave.
Well, I'm really short of words. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. And this brings us back to the very beginning of this meeting, where we actually spoke that facility management is a very broad, field. Now, I think the presenter today just focused on the risk assessment, hazard identification and recognition in the facility industry. However, just like he said, it's not something he can even discuss with just 2 hours. It's something that can take a whole day, in delivering this training and selling out the deliverables in terms of facility management. So there are a whole lot of other aspects with regards to the facility management that I would still want to appeal with the presenter of today. Please let's not conclude and say, oh, we are done with facility management. We are still looking forward to him coming to still take us on the fire risk assessment, in line with facility management, emergency response, system or plans or response with regards to facility management. These are critical and crucial aspects of the facility management. So I know for each of the industries, is a topic cannot be, digested, cannot be detailed within the time frame that we have for the knowledge sharing section we are having. But however, one could just focus on a topic. Then another time, we can also talk on another, discuss on another topic, just embedded in that particular industry. So this is what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Stephen, your hand is up.
Yes. I think, like I always say, if not that he mentioned it, you can't just remember everything, so he has raised an important area, and definitely this is not something that can be included in what I've discussed today. Because when you talk about fire risk assessment, there are specialists, there are specialists for it. It's just that we are in this part of the world where I don't know, when you go to a place like UK and US, I have a friend, a professional colleague in the in fact, is a mentee, is my mentee. Is a risk, is in fact, is a fire safety specialist in the UK. As at the last time I was discussing with him, and he's very good to the extent that he now has his company as a consultant. So when we come to fire safety risk assessment, will I say it's will I use the word an industry on its own? You understand? So we are going to come to that. We're going to come to that, and we're going to have a lot of dissection to that. I think that will be very, very educating when that time comes, and a lot of us is going to learn from it, because a lot of things are involved. So we'll come to that. But we'll just, when we go through some other industry, we'll not come back, and we'll deal with that as well. I think I'll also be willing to handle that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Man, at this juncture, I think we'll have to call it a day so that we'll not keep others still on the seat. So guys, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you, Mr. Stephen, for your knowledge you shared. Mr. Mojede, thank you for that contribution. We appreciate you. And which industry are we coming to next week? So prepare for us. The industry we are coming to next week, prepare for us so that we want to get the best out of our time here. So thank you very much. Mr. Andrew, I appreciate you. Mr. Ronnie, we would like to hear your voice because you are just listening and taking from us. We need to also hear from you. I know you are professional there, so one of the sessions you also have to let us know from your own perspective. Mr. Francis from Saudi, do have a blessed day. All right, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
A blessed day.
Yeah.
God bless you.
See
Enjoy
you
your
guys next
weekend.
week. Yeah. See you guys next week.
Yeah, have a nice day, sir.
All right. Have a nice day.